Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. The Texas Pro has let out, and in the men's open division, Iain Valliere has won. Yes, he has won. This is two big wins for him, back-to-back Tampa Pro, Texas Pro. He had to come from behind, or at least it looked like he had to come from behind, because I think a lot of people had Steve Kuclo winning that prejudging, but according to the judges, that was not the case. The judges had it quite differently. The judges had Iain just narrowly winning the prejudging, and then they had him pretty convincingly winning the Nitro. Now we're looking right here at Xavier Wills, my good friend, Desktop Bodybuilding, has some good footage, so I'm just playing that. You can see Steve Kuclo in the middle here. And Steve was really, I thought, dominated the prejudging. I think he did enough to win. I think Iain came back tighter. I knew it was close. We said in my wrap-up of the prejudging, I knew it was going to be rejudged at night here between these three guys. Iain just came back better, and he's got a lot of wow to his physique. I think Kuclo, I thought he did enough for prejudging, and yet he still wasn't in the lead. So what does that tell you? That tells you that, you know what? The judges really liked Iain's look. They liked him in Tampa. They liked him here. They gave him the nod, although by 1 point in prejudging, and then it seemed like at night when he came back for the finals, when he tightened up a little bit, they said, you know what, this guy's got all the bells and whistles we want, and they gave him straight firsts, it looks like. But it was a very close battle. I mean, Phil Clahar was very, very close to Kuclo at the end of the day. I don't know why Kuclo seemed to have dropped down so much after the prejudging. I thought he looked really good. I wasn't there, obviously, so sometimes it's hard to see the little bit of new little nuances. Both him, I think all three of these guys looked incredible. And, you really can't there's nothing you can really say about the fact that the way the judge's decision went. And we were just looking at Hassan Mostafa there, who we'll talk about in a minute. But I think that, when you evaluate at the end of the day, who is the better person, when it's that close, it's personal preference. And so even if each judge thought that, Iain was just a little better, at the end of the day, he's going to get the win, and so that's what it amounts to. I'm a little upset that Steve didn't win, only because I wanted to see him get the qualification. Iain already had the qualification, but the judge's job is to judge the best man. And they felt that Iain Valliere did enough to win this show. He gets 2 wins, he gets 10 grand. So it definitely made it worth his while to be there. And, he's got to come in from Canada. He's got to do crazy quarantines on the way back. So for him, hitting 2 shows, coming into the U.S. is probably worth it. Now he can take the 10,000 and take a little mini vacation, although not really, because we're going to see him at the Arnold Classic next month. So congratulations on the big win. Like I said, I'm really, really excited for the fact that we are seeing top quality guys in the division now that are doing so well, and it's exciting. It's like it's not a foregone conclusion. We didn't know who was going to win this show. I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, it could have gone to anyone. Look at Phil Clahar. I mean, who finishes third here? He's arguably as good as he can be. And I said this after the prejudging wrap-up. I said he's going to have a lot of difficulty winning here because he doesn't have the structure of a Kuclo or a Valliere. And yet he still almost snuck in there. So I take my hat off to him. He did tremendous. I mean, if we go back to the back poses on here, which I really believe, what won it for Valliere in the end, although I thought Kuclo after prejudging really had it. But Valliere has a lot of, wow to his physique too. This had to be a tough battle for these judges when it was all said and done. I personally, I really like both Kuclo and Valliere physique. I think that Kuclo will make it to the Olympia somehow. I don't know how. I think, obviously he's doing the Arnold Classic. He'd have to get a win there, which seems unlikely. But, at the end of the day, once again, I feel bad for him because he really showed up at his best at this show. And what else can you do? He absolutely belongs on that Olympia stage. I mean, we talk about special invites. I mean, I don't know if maybe he'll collect enough points, but this is his only show of the year. So I have a feeling that's not going to happen. And we probably won't see Kuclo unless they do extend the special invite to him. That's what happens when you wait till the last minute sometimes too, and you bank all your, put all your cards into one show. If I were Kuclo, I would have gotten on an airplane and flew to Spain to do tomorrow night is the show in Spain. So maybe he could have gotten into that show and won that at the last minute. I don't know, but I don't even know if that would be a possibility. But I certainly would be trying because he looks so good. I really want. I think a lot of the fans want to see him on the stage too at this point. And once again, it's disheartening because these guys work so hard, and he's in his home state here. I have to imagine that he's probably sitting home right now and he's really disappointed, and that's it's unfortunate because he put so much effort into it. Let's talk about some of these other competitors though, because it wasn't a 3-man show. There were other guys in the show. Hassan Mostafa, I thought looked really, really good. I thought that at the end of the day, we know that he's having problems getting his conditioning down pat. I thought he looked pretty good here. I think his body is not responding anymore is what's happening. And when your body stops responding, there's really nothing you can do. You can diet. You can continue to push your body, and it's not going to make any difference. And I think that a lot of people have figured this out the hard way. I remember one year when I did I think I did the USA, the North American, and the Nationals all in one year. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm always in shape. I can do these shows. I can peak over and over. And unfortunately, my body just looked tired by the third show. And even though I was hard, it was tired. I actually think he looked good here. I think that when you're going against a lineup against top Olympia guys, I mean, with huge structures, I mean, how do you beat him? I mean, I think he was just outgunned here. And I don't even know, had he been in the best shape of his life, had he been able to, I don't know if he would have beaten Kuclo or Iain. And I don't even know if he would have beaten Phil Clahar, to be honest with you, because they were that good. And we haven't seen Hassan Mostafa at his best, but he has a slightly narrow structure. And because he has a narrow structure, it can sometimes, in a line alone, he looks great. But when you put him in the lineup with other guys, he doesn't look so great. I think a guy that we have to really take a look at, though, however, in this lineup would be Martin Fitzwater. I mean, here's a guy who I don't think anyone even was on anyone's radar. I don't think anyone picked this guy for top 5. And he was able to come into this lineup against a really good field of people and show that, I belong up here. And he's from Colorado. I really didn't know much about him prior to this. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people in the future. He's got a really nice structure, small waist, big legs, good arms. Can he be a little tighter? Yeah, I think he's got to tighten up a little bit. And I'd like to see him even fill out that frame a little more. And I think if he does, we're going to see some really nice things from him in the future. And it's nice when you see new talent in there and new guys sneaking into this lineup. To beat a guy like Hassan Mostafa, I mean, right there, that tells you that, you did something special. And he did. And Hassan had to settle for 5th place here. And, he's got to be frustrated because Hassan has all this muscle. He's got these huge quads, big, huge legs. He really has no weak body parts whatsoever. He just can't dial in the conditioning enough to show aesthetically his physique at its best. And that's really what it amounts to. Because when he's a little off and he doesn't have all that detail in his lower back, glutes, hamstrings, he could be a little blocky looking, and I know that will disappear when he gets in shape at 100%. You're going to see lines that never existed. And that happened, I think, with Ramy also. When Ramy would come in at, 90%, he was huge and he was amazing, but he didn't show enough separation in the areas where we look when we think about conditioning, which is glutes, hamstrings, lower back. And when he finally dialed that in last year at the Olympia, all of a sudden we saw something that we hadn't seen. And I still think Ramy could come in tighter. So at the end of the day, this show, if we're going to evaluate it, 5 years from now, we're going to say, Iain Valliere established himself as a competitor that should be taken very seriously. And when I say very seriously, I mean that he's going to be a top 6 Olympia guy. Obviously, the judges feel that that's probably the case. He got 2 huge wins. He was not afraid to compete against the best of the best. We're going to see him again at the Arnold Classic, where he could give everyone a run for their money. You never know. He could walk out of there as the winner of that show. Don't be surprised. He's got a lot of momentum. I think he's getting a lot of stage experience from this. He's feeling more confident up there. I'd like to see him smile a little more. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, that's just his look." No, I want to see him smile. He should be having fun up there. You got to project that to the audience. At the end of the day, however, Steve Kuclo's got to be super disappointed. This was a big disappointment for him. I know it. I can feel it. I'd like to get him on my TV show and talk to him about it, but hopefully there's going to be a way we can get this guy to the Olympia. He belongs there. Phil, you know what? You should get a pat on your back, man. You really delivered. I worked with him before in the past. He's a good guy, and I know he's a super hard worker. Congratulations on your third place here. You went up against some beasts these past 2 weeks, and you hung in there. And you a lot of people thought you could have gotten the nod in Tampa, but you know what? You're going to come back next year bigger and better. I know you will. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's little wrap up. If you want to see more, Chris Aceto on Heavy Muscle Radio will be doing a complete wrap up with me of the entire show, all the classes, on Monday, live at probably around noon. You can tune in for that. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.